we as human beings are manipulating, you can put air quotes around that, our environment, and that may or may not change how our planet evolves. And so from my perspective, one of the things I look at is not necessarily for planetary protection, because Earth is going to be fine long after we're gone, but it's for humankind retention, right? Because we don't want to make an environment where we don't exist, right? The rocky planet doesn't really care, but we do. And so from my perspective, I think that's one of the reasons that this type of fundamental exploration can help say, here's really the understanding of life in our universe and our solar system, and here's what we're learning about how planets evolve and change over time, and how there are markers for things that we might be doing that either accelerate that or decelerate. In general, what I'm going to talk about is the icy moon that's around Jupiter called Europa. And we're going to sort of investigate that planetary body with the spacecraft called Europa Clipper. And what I will do is, instead of spending a lot of time talking about the science that this vehicle will bring back to Earth, we'll talk a little bit about why we're doing it, obviously. And then we'll talk about some of the engineering challenges that went into developing this vehicle that is going to launch later this year. So the reason we spend money doing this is, sometimes it's fundamental research. For me, it's just cool, but it's what comes out of the back end that we never really know. Let's use, and one of the stories that I like to tell is about the Galileo antenna, which Galileo was a spacecraft that went to Jupiter, very similar to ours, and its antenna didn't open all the way. And because that antenna didn't open all the way, the greater community, came up with compression algorithms so that we could compress the data and then get it back to Earth. Those compression algorithms are the basis for your cell phone. Somebody asked me one time about why diversity is important, and I know that's not your question, but it is sort of one of the things that I think is important in engineering, which is if you had somebody that only played classical music, if they heard jazz, they would think it was the most chaotic, stupid thing ever. But to somebody on the outside that just listens to music, they're both beautiful in their own way. And when you combine them, or when you move them around in different ways, you get even more beautiful things. And that, I think, is part of the job, is how do you think differently than somebody else? And I think when you look at the differences in what other things you need other than science and math and STEM or STEAM, you need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to speak and write for a lot of people. We had problems. Some of our problems were facility problems. I get a call at 4 a.m. that says, hey, some of the lights that we're using to simulate the sun blew up. And that's, that's okay, we'll get out of bed and we'll solve a problem. Or the spacecraft didn't respond when we gave it this particular command, and we're not sure why. Maybe we should get together and have a conversation about that. So those types of things happen. And, those are different days, as you can imagine. Those might be, some of them are really stressful. Some of them are really rewarding because something happens and you're able to pull together a team of people who are experts in their field, and they say, oh, maybe this, maybe that. And then you get to actually test that, try it out. So if I can name a landing site or planet, what would I name it? And I was thinking about this a little bit, and I was struggling, because I think for me, you want to name it after something that means a lot to you, and something that's really close to you. And I was thinking, I might name it Mothers, because as Mother's Day is, always seems to be around the corner, and I owe so much to my family in general, but I owe so much to my mother. I think it'd be nice, not necessarily to name it after her, but to name it for all mothers, because all of us have one, and all of us owe so much to our families that maybe I would think about something like Mothers.
I love that. You probably would never have to buy another card again.
No, that wouldn't work. You still have to buy a card.